Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Just Love Them podcast. I'm your host, Shiree Best. Join me on a journey to understand and find peace with those we love who have left their faith. As people share their experiences, their thoughts, and their takeaways on this podcast, please listen for what resonates for you and take from these episodes what will help you in your life and for your situation. Listeners, thank you so much for rating and reviewing, liking, and leaving comments. That really, really helps other people who are looking for these kinds of solutions and this kind of podcast to get the help they need. Today, I have another very special guest, Trudy Barnes. Trudy grew up in a farming community in Walla Walla, Washington. She came to BYU to study. She took a job at Aspen's Grove Family Camp above Sundance in Provo Canyon. There she met and worked with Gary. They married in the Manti Temple and had 7 bright and gifted children. Trudy received her music BA from BYU. She sang in the Tabernacle Choir for 5 years, and she is certified in cranial sacral therapy, massage, and emotional processing. In addition to that, Trudy and I have known each other and been friends for over 30 years. Do I want to say that, or should I just say many, many? Because that really dates us both, doesn't it?
30 is
We've
great.
known each other for a very long time. One of my favorite things about Trudy is that we have this reciprocal relationship, I feel like, where I learn from her and she learns from me, and I learn from her and she learns from me. But I think I've gotten the best end of that friendship. Welcome, Trudy.
Thank you. It's been such a blessing to listen to your podcasts and to learn from so many wise people. It's blessed my life, and I feel so honored to talk to you today, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I would love for you to just start by sharing whatever part of your story that you want to share.
Thanks. So, just to give a little background, I grew up in a place that had, we jokingly said, there's a church on every corner. And there really were many religions when I grew up in Walla Walla. So my friends, Mormons being the minority, my friends were Christians of all different faiths, and I went to lots of churches. That established in me a humility that I was one of many, many thought processes for God and for religion. And that served me well as I moved to Utah and went to school. In that, when I moved to Utah, I felt like things were a little rigid or a little strict or a little same. And I missed the variety of those wonderful friends who had such differing ideas. So it's been a process to grow up here with my children. As we were having dinner one day after I had my 7 kids, and Gary and I had the family over for Sunday dinner, I was kind of retrospective with them and said, as I look at my brothers and sisters, there's 8 children in my family of origin. We have a lot of differing points of view. Some stayed in the faith that we grew up in, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and some chose to leave and join other churches or not to go to church at all. I mentioned that to my mostly adult children and said, I wonder what it'll be like for our family, our 7 kids. What will it be like in the future? So that was instructive to me. I don't know if it was instructive to my kids, but we took a look. Today, all our kids are adults. We have 19 grands, and we have a couple of sons that have chosen to leave the faith completely. And then there's a variety of, what would you say? They're in process. All of them are in process in one way or another along the way. And so I'm going to just talk about the 2 that have decided to leave. The first is our second oldest son. The night before he was born, I felt like he was an extremely special soul. It was like the Spirit just impressed on my heart before I even went into labor, and he was born the next day. The Lord has guided me in raising of that son. And I could tell with his brothers and sisters around him that he was very different from the get-go. He did not think, act, or look like anybody else. He was completely himself. Over time, I could see, oh, I think he's got gay tendencies. So later, after he graduated from BYU, he started talking to me about things. And one particular night, he just said, Mom, I've made a decision. I have a partner that I'd really like to live with. I've graduated from BYU. We want to move to California, and I think that my life will be happier if I can have that option in my life. I don't want to live alone. I can't really fully live in the church if I'm a gay man practicing. And so that's what he decided to do. My first response was, well, then why am I keeping my covenants? Why am I trying so hard? I just sort of felt like, wow, he can just so easily walk away like that. I don't think it was easy, but it felt like, wow, he's just good to go. And so I spent probably 3 days just mourning, researching on the internet, looking at the Kinsey scale, which was kind of helpful back then. It's not so much now. Seeing what the churches in California do, the LDS churches in California do with their gay members, and just trying to understand what kind of world my son was going to be walking into. At the end of that 3 days, I kind of wrote in my journal, he's really the same beautiful, amazing son he's always been. And this really won't change how I feel about him. It was quite instant for him in the moment. And I wrote that down and gave him a copy of my feelings and my expressions. However, of course, you're going to have people say things. I didn't know if I should out him, if I should share. It was really his story to share. I mourned the fact that probably he wouldn't have children, and he probably would not return and have a female companion, and all the things that you normally expect and hope for with your child.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, it's gotten easier. I don't care so much what other people think. If someone says something like, oh, so you must be a really aggressive, controlling mother and your husband's really absent, right? Things like that, then I can go, well, that's where they're at. It's not about me, it's about where they're at. Just leave it and move forward. Or, like I did one time at lunch with my friends, she was talking about some negative things about homosexuals in the church. When she was finished, I just said, I don't know if you're aware, but we have a gay son, and he's such a beautiful soul and so gifted. And what you're describing there isn't very accurate in my case, at least how I see our son. And she was so sweet and kind and responsive to me, bringing that to her awareness that maybe there's another point of view. And of course, you can talk about this issue forever, and there's lots of podcasts available to discuss that. But the hardest thing for me with our son was when he graduated and we loaded up all his things into a trailer, and we drove him, my husband and I drove him to California, LA area, where he was going to live with his partner. And we walk into this, two males home where, oh, this is going to be their space, and it feels really different. I could feel the difference. And that was an adjustment. So I loved them both, and they were so gracious, and the home was lovely. It was an adjustment for me to go, oh, two male energies in one place. That's a whole different feeling. And then when we said goodbye in the parking lot in LA, and my sweet Utah boy, who to me was still pretty guileless, even though he'd served a mission and he'd been out in the world and he was educated, he was a man. It was like I felt like I was leaving him to the wolves, so to speak. And it was really hard to give him a hug and wish him well and express our love, and then to walk away and really literally leave him to this brand new life. I don't know if I ever told him that, but that was difficult. That was difficult because it was truly letting go. It had some hurt to it.
I bet it did. I can't even imagine. Especially to a complete, like from one complete life to a whole different complete life. That would be so hard. I was thinking as you were telling about that son that you seem to get to a fairly peaceful place fairly quickly in the way you told the story. I wondered if that was because you had a sense that maybe that was coming. It wasn't a complete shock to you. Do you think that helped or did that not help?
I think it did. And I had lots of dreams and personal revelation about parenting him. The Lord was very active in my life. And so, yes, I was prepared. At the same time, there's always the hope, oh, it's not going to happen. He'll figure it out, or,
Hmm.
whatever
Hmm.
unrealistic thing you might think as a parent. But yeah, I was expecting it, but at the same time, it was still hard to hear, even though I knew in my soul.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about like my own situation, comparing it to yours. And I mean, my children have had different challenges, but I saw the signs with a couple of the kids that they weren't embracing the religion I loved. And I saw the signs, but I wouldn't see the signs. Like I refused. And therefore I was shocked. And therefore it was so much harder. And I think you were wise to, while obviously you were hoping it was going to go the way you would like it to go, you were, I think, more open-minded than I was. And I think that probably helped.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the dreams that I was given really instructed me. Heavenly Father told me we knew him very well before we came here. And all of this is part of being the perfect parent and perfect child for each other, to
Yeah.
learn from each other what we needed. And truly, what he has taught me is love and tolerance and open-heartedness that I never would have been able to experience had I not known this great son.
Wow.
I think he continues to stretch our family and to open our hearts and open our minds.
Yeah.
Because life isn't just this perfect little package, is it?
Never, never, never.
Our other son, our oldest son, over a long time period, 5+ years, this amazing son, they would come and visit us often. And I loved that. Though they live in a different state, they would make wonderful time for us as parents, grandparents, and children, grandchildren. We were able to walk and talk a lot about things that he was reading, things that he was questioning. And I would, joyfully go, yeah, I had those questions too. Yes, I studied those things too. And I felt completely at ease with this new part of his journey. He was a wonderful missionary too. And he was in bishopric and just wonderful leader, great with the youth, really sensitive to the kids with gender identity issues in his ward, just amazing with them and so compassionate. But there were some things that started happening inside him that really invited him into lots of questions. And the thing that I learned from this amazing man is that I could walk with, listen to, discuss, embrace, talk about most all of his journey with my own experience and looking at his brilliance and his mind thinking about these things and figuring them out. And then there was a point where the spirit said, "You don't walk any further. The rest is his." Wow, was that hard? The rest is his walk. It wouldn't be healthy for you to keep going with this. Of course, that didn't mean I disconnected from my son. I still love to hear what he's reading, what he's talking about with his friends. But there was a day in the 22nd of September, which is the first day of fall in 2022, when Marco Poloed us and said, we've decided that we're not going to go to church anymore. We're not going to go to the temple or wear our garments. This is where we've come to. And he was weeping because he, like our other son, there's a fear of not being loved anymore,
Yeah.
of being rejected or abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never want that to happen with any of my children. But because of that fear and concern, maybe more concern than fear, they decided to do some counseling. He did. And so went to a professional counselor and just got out all his stuff that he needed to express, and then felt like, okay, I can speak it, I can share it. And I think it was safe for all of us because he spoke to us and then individually to his 6 brothers and sisters. And he did it on Marco Polo so we could take a beat, take it in, replay it, take some time to respond. It was really very kind that he did that because, yeah, like I said, we could just take a beat, take a minute to breathe it in, go, okay, this is the new the new reality
Wow.
of this situation. One thing that happened to me, and I don't think it was when he told us, and of course we saw it coming and it wasn't like a surprise, and yet it is because you still hope.
Uh-huh.
Well, 2 things. I'm going to share the first thing, and that is because my spiritual journey led me through all kinds of questions, church history, my dark nights of the soul for many years, up until maybe 3 years ago. Some of my questions were not satisfactorily answered for me. And so, because I knew that, but because I had chosen, my outcome was, yes, I'm going to stay and I'm going to deal with the cognitive dissonance. You have cognitive dissonance, which is you're told one thing, this is supposed to be true, but I'm feeling and thinking this or observing that. And so you have this abrasive spiritual energy that can't quite come to a peaceful place.
Mm-hmm.
But because I came to the place of, I choose to stay in this faith, I choose to trust God and give it all the time it needs because it's not over in this life. I expected he would come to the same place,
Of
but
course.
he didn't. That was why, I don't know, but it was like a shock. You didn't come to the same conclusions that I did. You came to very different conclusions from what mine and my husband's have been.
And that had to have been hard because you're thinking, okay, I recognize this. This is familiar. I did this too. And so to have him veer off on a path that you're like, wait, what? That's not the way it's supposed to turn out. That must have been really hard.
Yes, it was. And I literally had a physical response, and I felt like my heart was breaking.
Yeah.
It was so hard to feel all the love and energy and effort. And of course, you go through, what did I not do? Could
Mm-hmm.
have I
Mm-hmm.
done it better? Oh, my messes have caused him to go to this place. And we had plenty of marital messes that could have kicked anybody off the rails. But to feel the physical heartbreak was really new to me and shocking. And it lets me know how deep our love, our mother love is. And that it's a visceral, I mean, he's part of me. My cells are always going to be part of him. And so you feel that loss. It's a perceived loss. And I'll tell you why I think that now. But that was real. Long ago, when I was teaching Suzuki piano lessons, I came across this darling poem, which I couldn't find, but I would read it to you if I could. But it's basically home, journey, home. And it's talking about the musical form of A, B, A. Like Twinkle Star has the little beginning tune, and then it diverges and has a little secondary tune. And then it goes back to the little beginning tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That's an example. That resonated with me because my experience is, and I have watched this in all seven of our children, is that they come with this inner compass. They come with a knowing about who they are, what their passions are, what they want to become, and what they have to do. It's like, for me, it was, if I don't play the piano, I'll die.
Mm-hmm.
That's how big it was.
Yeah.
For one of our sons, if I don't create stuff, I will die. For another child, if I don't go out in nature, I will die. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know that they ever thought that. But the home journey home is, yes, like my dad said, we come to this, we bring our children to this beautiful space of loving home. We try to make it, in spite of our weaknesses, make it the safest, best place we can. And then we watch them use their inner compass and take that journey away from home. And eventually, all of us go back home. Now, what it looks like for my sons, I don't know. It probably looks really different to them than what it might my picture of going home.
Mm-hmm.
But I trust that the creator that put that in us, that we shared in giving that body to, that the home will lead to the journey, will lead back home, and it will all be complete and whole and beautiful. And that's kind of where I sit right now. If I have time, I'll tell you another thing. Okay.
Yeah. Tell another thing.
One day for this oldest son, we had had a family reunion with just the siblings and the parents. And we'd done a lot of activities and we'd gone to Bridal Veil Falls and so forth. That part was over. And our oldest son was going to connect with his daughters that were all in town. And they were going to go hiking, doing something wonderful out in nature on Sunday while we were in church. And I just kept longing to know where they were. I wanted to know what mountain they were climbing. So during the sacrament, which is not typical for me, I'm usually pretty focused. I texted our son. I said, "Where'd you go? Where'd you go on your hike? I want to know." And he sent me this gorgeous picture of him and his girls on this beautiful mountain. And this quote, and I'll read it to you. He said, "I'd rather be in the mountains thinking of God than in church thinking about the mountains." And that's by John Muir. He was a great outdoorsman in the early turn of the century. I just felt so much joy for our son. I thought, yes, that's where he needs to be.
He's on his
That's ex
journey.
He is. He's hiking his mountain. He's got his beautiful daughters. They're in joy. And it just relieved me from all the stuff that I think I had to try to figure out in his behalf.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. I don't need to figure out anything in his behalf. He's got this. He's got this journey. We'll all come full circle to a beautiful place.
Hmm. Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like you're ever going to come full circle, but you do. And I think that I've really heard that so beautifully from you today, how you really do come full circle. I have someone that I've talked to before, and she has a couple of times said, my heart's going to hurt my whole life. And I keep trying to tell her, no, it's not. You really can come full circle. There is hope. You don't need to be in pain your whole life. You don't have to be in mourning your whole life. And what I really hear underneath what you're saying is that you just put him in God's hands and you just trusted that God is going to be the one that brings all of that home journey home. God's in charge of that. And we're not. We're just on the journey too and loving them along the way.
Yeah. And I really trust them. I trust their inner knowing. I really, really do. I love watching what it's going to look like. All the other children are amazing, each in their various stages of questions and faith and struggle,
Hmm.
some in a dark night,
Hmm.
some having to heal from things that we may have done. And we're working that all out.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. And I do trust their timing. That's powerful.
It is. One other thing that I've learned from you as I've listened to you share your story today is how you created a safe space for your children. Your son that had those conversations with you for 5 years, if he hadn't felt that you were a safe person to come and talk to about those things, he never would have. And then it would have been a complete shock. Both sons, really. You described that your children, they trust you. They feel safe with you. They're not feeling judged, or they're not feeling that you're angry with them. They feel like you're a safe place. I think that is such a key part of healing and salvaging our relationships when there's a divergence of values. We need them to be able to be in a safe space to share their side without us getting triggered, without us getting angry, without us bursting into tears. They need a safe space. And I love how you've been able to describe how you have been that safe place for them to come and share and explore and talk and still feel completely loved. That is quite a beautiful accomplishment.
Thank you. I think that our children have come to teach us. I feel so enriched and instructed by them.
Hmm.
Each of them powerfully different, so very different, no two alike. And I feel so honored that I got to have this wonderful journey with them and that they are teaching me tolerance and open-heartedness and love and forgiveness. They've forgiven me a lot, and I'm so grateful for that.
I feel the same about my children, Trudy. I think that's beautiful. Thank you so much for being willing to be here today and share that with us. For my listeners, there's so much support for you here with this podcast. You're not alone. In addition to this podcast, there's also the Just Love Them private Facebook group where you can get on, you can share, you can link arms with people who've been through similar things. It's a safe place to talk and share and ask questions. You can also message me on Facebook or sign up for a free mini session at shireebest.com. All that information's in the show notes. In addition, Trudy is a craniosacral therapist, and if you would like to connect with her, I will leave information to contact her in the show notes. Please join me again next time for another episode of Just Love Them.